I'd like to welcome in Josh Jostes to the podcast this week. It's week 6 already. Can you believe that that's already...
It has went fast. It has went fast this year.
After week 1, when, the weather and all that stuff, it just feels like we've really just rolled right along and smooth sailing. But you guys are 5-0. What have you learned kind of about this team? Let's start there.
Offensively, we're tough to defend. We haven't punted yet, so that's a pretty good stat. Defensively, the league, I know I've seen you interview like Coons the other day. It's just what our league has went to. We're just not seeing the spread team, so it's power run every week. We saw Auburn, and that's it. And it even looks like with Williamsville, it's going to be 50-50 at best. So that part has been a little different. Obviously, last week with picking up a game on a Tuesday at 11, that I am the ultimate organizer, and so that
gives
was
me anxiety just thinking about that.
That was a little tough. We had given our kids Monday off, so our plan was to give our kids Monday off. We were going to practice Williamsville on Tuesday, which is our big throw day. We were going to practice Olympia stuff, which is really, really unique. On Wednesday, do our own walkthrough, Thursday, give the kids Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which they never have, and then on Tuesday at 11 o'clock, I'm like, forget it, change the plans, and coaches, you've got 3 hours to have a game plan in, because we're practicing not usually how we roll. So
it's a 3-1 team, too,
yes,
not just a...
Yes, yeah. So it was a pretty similar look to what we have been seeing, because they're kind of a power run, jump into the spread a little bit if you can make them, which we were fortunately able to. So it was actually, they were very similar to Porta, like the team that we had played offensively, at least the week before. So kids did fine. We handled it. Kids handle it better than coaches. I think coaches were way more stressed out about it than I did point out when they were, I don't have this done and I don't have this done. I'm like, don't forget, Dwight is watching our film right now going, oh my gosh, it doesn't just work that we're stressed and getting it last minute.
Yeah. So. You mentioned similar to Porta, and, I feel like we say this every year, but I want your take on it. In terms of the Sacramento Conference as a whole, I mean, this year there really is not a bye week. Like, there's not an easy week, because even, like you said, Auburn at 0-5 right now. Who would have thought Auburn 0-5? But, I mean, everybody in the Sacramento this year is going to bring you something that you're going to have to try to figure out. And, like you said with Porta, I walked away from Porta's pigskin preview saying this is a program that's going in the right direction. So, what do you see from the 4 Sacramento teams that you've played? And I'm sure you're looking ahead to the rest of them.
Yep. I will say this. I feel like the bottom end of our league has been super competitive this year with each other. Some of them have had really rough draws, in my opinion, like playing the top 4 teams, all in a row. It's tough to keep your confidence level up and those things. So, that brings its own set of challenges, for those coaches. But yes, you're 100% right. There's some new people stepping in. I don't think a lot of people probably had New Berlin, predicted to be, 5-0. And like you said, I bet no one had Auburn predicted to be 0-5, right now. So true proof on that end. We haven't seen the top end yet, so and when I say that, I mean traditionally, since we've been in the league for whatever it is, 7 or 8 years, there's kind of been a pecking order, and this year that's disrupted a little bit. So that is interesting. But even when those teams were struggling, there's been great coaches. Every team's always got a kid that, a lot of times I lead my message like, this kid would play for us. This kid would play for us to get our kids' attention. It's like, now maybe he's not playing quarterback or whatever for us, but and that's kind of things that we have to do, and hopefully that doesn't come off and sound conceited. That's just the way it is. When we're trying to challenge our kids, it's like whatever team it is you're talking about, we're going to say these 4 kids would all play on our team. So, make sure you're locked in and focused on, on those. And that's not been any different. And maybe even some new surprises. I mean, we have Pittsfield this week and the record's not great, but stepped up and took on Jacksonville, which and gave them all they wanted. Obviously, you can see the game I have pulled up right now is Pittsfield gave, Williamsville all they wanted. So, I mean, there is a lot of depth in our league this year, I think, more so than it has been since we've been in it.
And like you said, all that being said, you guys still haven't punted. So, what's special about your team? You knew coming into this year you had skill guys. I mean, you knew Mitch, you knew Grant, you know those guys. But there was the question at QB. I don't think that's a question anymore, especially these last 2 weeks. I mean, my God. But what's really kind of solidified that you knew that this was a special team?
Well, I think a lot of people, the answer, who's going to be your quarterback, who's going to replace. I tried to tell everybody. I think Aiden Williams is about 4th in our league in throwing right now. So just like I said, Shep has stepped up and done a great job. Number one for our kids is they have to value the football. And knock on wood, he has 0 turnovers on the year. That's a step in the right direction for us. Like you said, skill kid wise, there wasn't a lot of correct with the kids that we had coming back. I think people expected us to be good on that side of the ball. We did replace all 5 offensive linemen. They continue to get better. Had their best overall grade, 89% overall grade for our team on Friday night, which has been our best grade of the year. We're not going to line up and just mash somebody down the field, where our biggest kids are center at about 235 and everybody else is 200 pounds. But they play hard. They'll be relentless. As soon as we clean up and get rid of all mental errors, they're going to give our kids a chance. And we do have some special kids. I kept laughing. I told Leanne this in week 1 when she drafted her she probably told you this, but she drafted her fantasy team, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and give you a sleeper. Somebody's going to want to take this Zach Smith kid for us, because our other 2, Grant and Mitch, were drafted, first. And she's like, oh, okay, I will use that, because she was at our first game. And Zach's been pretty solid. He's on pace to be a 1,000-yard receiver for us, which I've only had 3. So, that's a big deal. So, said we weren't concerned about quarterback. Hopefully people, I had a lot of people say, oh, if you say you have 2 quarterbacks, it means you have none. And it's like, or you have 2 quarterbacks. So they've done great. Aiden has kind of taken over the role as our safety on the defensive side and still getting reps and gives us the depth to be able to run Ryan, which is probably his best attribute. And we're continuing to pick up his pace there a little bit. He had his biggest rushing total on Friday. Just haven't had to make him run the ball yet, but we do know we'll probably go, a little stat boost for him when we start letting him run the ball. So they've done a great job, and I'm really proud of our young offensive linemen. Right now we're starting 2 seniors, a junior, and 2 sophomores. The 2 sophomores had not played a varsity down, and one of them had never played lineman in his life, and is stepping up and doing quite well. So we're pleased with where they're at. They've got to get a lot better for us to be able to. The weather's been super to start the year, even for us on Friday night. I mean, we were 25-mile-an-hour winds, but we didn't have any rain up where we were. Pretty nice wind block. We were on a north-south field, and so it was blowing out of the north, and so it wasn't that. I was glad we weren't playing here, which is an east-west field and no wind block. It would have been rough. And then I think it rained pretty much all day around here. Yeah. We drove out of the rain, and so that was kind of a blessing. Hopefully that sticks around, but that makes us look better also. So, but I'm pleased with where our kids are right now. Defensively, that's where we got to get shored up, and it's not that we're giving up a lot of points. It's time of possession. We have to work to our strength. I think people are trying to line up and keep the ball away from us, and kind of mash us going down the field, and we've got to establish that that's just not going to be a good plan also. and I don't think we're doing a good job, and that starts with me. Like our kids are just focused on, well, we're going to score, so it doesn't matter if we,
Right.
and it does matter.
The Rochester mentality.
Yes,
You know?
it does matter, and it will matter, definitely, when the weather goes, the level of competition goes up, the weather doesn't stay, as nice. We've got to take that same pride. Like I said, when you score every possession, it's hard to get their attention. But I'm going to do a better job on that of getting their attention going forward, because it's became pretty clear teams are going to, and even after we have a substantial lead, teams are still, staying at that pace, not going fast, and it's sort of like accepting that, hey, this is still how you're going to slow them down. We can't speed our pace up, which we want to dictate the pace of the game, obviously.
But I think too, you look at like we talked about the schedule ahead for you guys in the Sagamore Conference. New Berlin didn't throw the ball at all last week, and they've been pretty successful this year with what they're doing on offense. So,
yes.
In terms of your defensive line and where you're at, what do they need to do to get ready for that? How do you kind of prepare for that? Because like you said, you guys played Porta, and Porta was kind of the same thing, battering Ram, just keep going, and you're going to see that with Olympia this week, regardless of what quarterback they're on, they're going to run the ball.
Yeah. We, like for example, in the Porta game, they chose to take the ball to come out, which typically is us, that are getting it. They return a kickoff to the 37-yard line. So 3 first downs in there in the end zone, already. We force a 3rd and 9 on the very first play. We lose contain, a quarterback scrambles. I mean, it's a pass play, picks up a first down, they go ahead and score. So I'm blaming that one on our special teams, rather than our defense. They have 2 sustained drives that they score, and then they score against our backups late. But when you look and see, hey, they gave up 30 points, and that's just not us. We're not going to be happy, giving up 30. But then on that same possession, we had 9 possessions. We scored touchdowns on all 9 possessions, including one of them that we took the ball over with 4 seconds left at the 50-yard line, and still got a touchdown. Yeah. So but we have to hang our hat on. We have to be able to get stops. This team last week had 2 sustained drives and then 2 2-point conversions and score. And like I said, I think Dwight's a playoff team, but we've got to get back to being better rather than that mentality of it doesn't matter, because we're going to score again. And like I said, that all starts with me. So I promise we're going to get that.
No,
that
I
fixed.
believe you.
But that is what everybody's going to come in and say. Hey, they're giving up, and the best way for them to not score is to not have the ball. Right. So,
but that also does put a lot of pressure on the other team in terms of sustained drives, because you get behind the 8 ball. So like I've seen it so many times with Rochester, where Rochester's going to score, like you said, on every possession. So if you don't, then you're automatically down 2 scores, and it snowballs so fast that mentally it puts a lot of pressure on. We have to score this drive. We can't make any mistakes. Yep. And that's great for your defense.
And that is what we want to do. One of the things is our mentality of being 3 and off, but we want to put pressure on you that you have to do things that you don't want to do. For example, playing from behind, okay, or being 3rd and long, it's not set up. So we've really got to focus on winning first down and making these teams. And when we have them down a couple scores, and if they're willing to just play at that pace and, snap a ball with 5 seconds, then, maybe you don't win by as much, but you still win. Yeah. So, and that's fine too. After COVID, we really focused and said, we're just going to celebrate wins. Like, just the chance to play. I feel like we've done a better job of that rather than feel the pressure that we have to be in a state title game or win a state championship to have a successful season. But bottom line is that's how we're being judged. I mean, it just is. A lot of people tell you if we went south, they think we play Wilmington in the state championship game, but we didn't, and we played poorly and got beat badly there. Do I think we could give them a better game? I absolutely do. But they were better. They were better than everybody. That's why they were the state, the state champ. They were very good, and going to be very good again this year. And it looks like they're going to be in that level. So that's what I'm talking about. We have to have that mentality of we're not going to score every time we touch the ball, and we have to be better defensively. And we know that, And we got to have things to work on in practice too.
The culture that you have here, and what, like you said, those expectations and what they are, and I'm sure that the kids look at it more than you do, but the polls of you guys being number one now at this point and being that way for the last, I don't know, couple weeks at least. After, like you said, what happened last year and where you guys are at as a program, how much does that matter to you, and what do you tell your kids in terms of that?
We don't really talk about it. One of the slogans on our shirts and one of the slogans on seasons that we've had is "Pressure's a privilege," and we really do mean that. I mean, people expect us to perform when we walk on the field. Our kids and coaching staff and community all expects us, and so any hiccup that we have, even if it's not a loss, it's giving up 30 points to Porta. People, even in our own communities, are like, what's going on? And our kids just have to relax and play, but they understand they have to be held accountable. Because it is too many points for us. But again, it's nice to be able to coach things up with a real life example. This is not good enough, fella. This is not the standard of which we. And at this point, we actually start dialing our practices back. Like eventually, you're going to get in the playoffs, but we're down to an hour and a half practices. Every day. We want our kids to be fast and fresh. We do want it. We use it when the season starts, best 2 hours of your day. And then it was best hour and 45 minutes of your day. Now, starting this week, best hour and a half of your day. We want it to be fun, fast, competitive, and then get out of here. And that's kind of where we are. So we will focus on that hour and a half of us being the best that we can be and let the chips fall. We really want to spend a lot more time worrying about us than, who we're playing.
I feel like the last couple of years, especially, you guys have the way the brackets broke. You've got to stay at home a lot, but as people are listening to this, you guys are gearing up on Thursday to get ready for your road trip to Pittsfield, and you got to go to Dwight last week. How much do you think that helps prepare a younger group of guys in terms of the playoffs and what to expect there?
Well, this is going to be our 5th road game in 6 weeks, which is awful. The worst I've ever had. And hopefully the worst I ever have also, so hopefully it doesn't get worse. So they're used to the long road trip. You're used to not getting to play in front of, like our one game that we've had at home was absolutely packed, on our side. It's not been like that at our other games. Dwight, we were an hour and 40 minutes. Pittsfield, you're 2 hours and 35 minutes. I get why people aren't traveling with the way that games are. We were going to be a game of the week at Athens. If we'd have played Friday night, it was on TV. Yeah. Now you can watch it on huddle cameras, or you can watch it on YouTube, or you can watch it on NHS. Yes. And so I get it. It's easier, and especially like in our community, we're spoiled. I mean, our people expect to win those games handily, and we'll check back in when it's going to start to. And like I said, bottom line is we started focusing on enjoy every win, and we've been better at it. I've slipped here the last couple weeks and been disappointed. I told my coaching staff I've started to get to that stage that I'm going to fix this week. But I just told you we weren't happy with giving up a couple scores, and not getting our offense on the field. We have to turn people over, which we've not done a great job. We're not turning it over, but we're not winning in turnover advantage by a lot in those games. And so plenty of stuff for us to work on. And this group of kids has been really focused. They've been a joy to be around, and like a lot of our groups. But I do only have 10 seniors.
That's scary.
Yes. So, I mean, it's a really small senior class for us, and obviously there's some dudes in it. But we have a lot of other kids that are ready to step in and start playing. We're starting 3 sophomores, right now that I think all have very bright futures for us. And so that's nice to look forward to. They're going through it, to go back to your question, they're going through it for the first time. So they're getting to make these long road trips and see what it takes to be focused and get off the bus and have expectations. And
hopefully, ultimately, the last road trip is just up the road.
That's right. That's right. Be the closest game we've had all year.
Basically a home game for you guys.
Yes.
Which you need.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot of football, and that's fine, but I want the chance to talk to you kind of as a dad about having a daughter go through her senior year. What's that like, and how has that been different for you from from having boys?
It is totally different. My daughter and I would say, have a good relationship. My wife sent me something today. Of course you get all the credit because, she had her senior spotlight or something, and I was her role model. My wife and her are two exact same people, so they butt heads non-stop because they are clones. I just try and be the mediator. My wife has been to every event she's ever had, from dance, gymnastics, volleyball. I missed a lot of that stuff over the years. Even when she was playing, she started varsity as a sophomore, but when she was playing a freshman, says, I only go to varsity games, so you're either going to have to make your way up, or I'm headed to my freshman football game on a Thursday night, or the JV game on a Monday night. And she was able to do that. So for the last 3 years, I've really enjoyed it. Going to watch her play. She is super competitive. But her,
she got that
yeah. I mean, she plays to win, for sure. And she's having, her sophomore year, we were pretty solid. And then last year, was a struggle. We got the right gal in coaching now. Rachel Hockaday is one of my all-time favorite students and competitors that we've had. And if we can pick one up tonight, we're back to 10-10. When you start 0-6, they're on a heck of a run. So, and Bryn's a captain, a 2-year captain, and returning MVP from the team, last year, albeit on a team that wasn't very good, and it's not the standard. So I feel like she's really done well. So I think some of that's probably some of the stuff I tell her or write her a letter before a game, and she's more of a boy than she looks like. She definitely looks like the girl's girl, but she's competitive, and she'll, get in a fishing pole or, those things a lot more when she was younger than she does now. But anyway, it is really surreal almost to think. When I got hired, Reed, my oldest, was 6 months old. And, he's getting ready to be 25 now. I couldn't wait until they got into high school or JFL, or, originally JFL and then to high school. And then, it went fast, and Reed hunt, fish, ag, that was his thing, which we totally got behind. And again, my wife does a great job with all of that. And then Wade kind of fell along with my same, interests, and that was a great experience, minus the COVID stuff, which we're both still bitter about. So for Bryn, it's been kind of bittersweet to go on that. Everybody should be a girl dad at some point. It's a learning experience from a family. I'm an only child, but from a family of all boys. My dad is one of 4 brothers. So that's all we really knew in my family. So it has been different for sure, but very enjoyable. I don't know what Heidi and I are going to do with ourselves. I mean, we attend a million games, but usually our kids are playing. That being said, I still go to girls' basketball games. Yeah. Bryn doesn't play. I mean, we pretty much support everything here. It will be different not having somebody to either be looking forward to them getting to that level, and yeah, it's different.
I already know the answer to this question because my wife is the same way, and she's the reason. But like you said, how hard is it to have to miss stuff like that and be able to have your family competing in all this stuff and doing all those activities when you're such a busy guy and you have so many responsibilities? How much of that do you put on your wife, and how thankful are you for
I mean, she's a rock star, and I think a lot of coaches will tell you that their wives are rock stars, and this is not a knock on anybody else's wife, but my wife lives it and breathes it and has since all 25 years, I've been here. She runs pretty much everything we do. If you see our Toys for Tots thing just went out, I mean, all of those things that I am happy to throw my name or my face and then get involved in, but she's the reason we do all of those things. She's ran our booster club for years. If you pulled into town, you saw the signs. I mean, that is still 100% led by my wife, and I don't think you can on top of all our kids' activities, she's throwing that so that she's as invested, as I am. when I leave for practice the first day of every year, she's like, don't forget, anybody can coach for 9 weeks. So, it's been the same message for 25 years. So she doesn't expect me home until Thanksgiving. And that's nice also. Like I said, I do try and be present for my kids the best that I can, but, I also feel like I have 68 other kids, and she literally my wife will text me and she's like, she'll say something about, don't forget to tell your kids this. And she's like, I mean your biological ones. So she'll follow up with, your biological kids have this going on. I don't think you can do this job and be very good, and very similar to your situation without a rock star at home that's going to allow you to do you. And mine has let me do my thing for 25 years.
We'll wrap it up with this, and kind of just following up that conversation. I can finally say now that we're expecting our third in March. So what's different about 2 versus 3, and what should I be prepared for?
Well, you're playing zone defense now. Man-to-man just went out the window, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but you got one on each arm for one of you now instead of just one on each arm. The biggest difference, I would say, for us, and this is going to sound terrible with Bryn being a senior now, but she, a lot of times, was doing her own thing long before we would have ever let Reed, which is our oldest. Yeah. So he's 25 or getting ready to be 25, and she's getting ready to be 18. That 7 years was like, ask your brother, when we're leaving. I'm 2 blocks. We live straight north from here, 2 blocks. So it was like, she's getting off the bus by herself at 2nd grade because her 5th grade brother, or whatever that difference is, 6th grade brother, he'll get you off the bus. Things we would have never considered. So there are some positives to having that third one. But Bryn has probably, and my boys would be the first to tell you, Bryn has probably got away with a lot more than they ever would have. You kind of start to wear down. I know that it sounds terrible, but you do start to wear down by the time. And with Bryn, it's like, are your grades good? We expect our kids to make good decisions, so hopefully that they are. I know I got the boys through, and she's really close to being through without any major brain farts. So. But I would say that's the biggest difference. We definitely let things slide that we did not, and that's not all bad though. Maybe the others should have got that, for them. But yeah, good for you guys. I am super glad for you. Growing up an only child, I would have killed to have siblings. So I think it's neat. My kids are so different. I've enjoyed that part. Reed and I have a totally different relationship than Wade and I have, and Bryn and I have a totally different relationship than either of the boys. But Reed's coming home for Thanksgiving, hopefully to watch a state championship game. But he's like, Dad, if we're not playing, we're hunting in the morning, And Wade will be like, I'm watching the state championship games all day. It's just totally. And Bryn will be like, I'm going Black Friday shopping with whoever. And so that part is neat to be in that stage of your life, and we get them all back together, which doesn't happen. Reed had the hurricane last week, or predicted hurricane, not the Helene, but the one before that, so he's in New Orleans. So he came up, got to see a game, go out with us after, but then Wade's student teaching at Moline, so then he had to coach the game, gets at our house at 1:30, and we're all at, the full house, still celebrating whatever win we, had that week. And so we get them all together. It doesn't happen very often, and we're super excited about that. And you're going to, when you first have the newborn, it's the stress of the newborn and all the things that come with that. But, it's not, I wouldn't trade it. I'd start back over now. I'd start back over.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.